Hi, and welcome to Geeks for Geeks. Today we have the fourth day of CodeCamp. So basically, for those people who don't know what is this CodeCamp all in itself, it's just a habit building workshop where for the next 21 days we would be solving problems each day. We would be like you would get to the idea of problem solving, you would get acquainted with it, you would get habituated with it because you have a live lecture which would help you that yes, this person is coming at a specified time and he is explaining the solution and then he is doing it. So now you can see it for yourself. This is the link of the article that is mentioned in the description itself. So we have this, and then as we progress further, it would be like this all text would turn into an hyperlink. So today is the day fourth, that is, first day is done. It was done by me. The second day was done by Yash Trivedi. He is also a mentor at Geeks for Geeks. The third day was yesterday, which was also done by me. Today we would be doing this. So now today, as you see this, we have something known as stack and queues. Okay, so this is what we would be doing today. Hi Sai Lokesh, how are you? Hi Mr. Singh, hi Chirag, hi Devashish, hi Ajay, hi Raghuram, hi Pratik, hi Sai Lokesh. Okay, so like gradually the drop is seen on the number of live viewers. On the very first day, it was more than 300. Then, as we proceeded further, programming became a little bit difficult for some people. Some people left in the midway. So we all should connect and solve and discuss take home problems. Yes, absolutely, you should do it on your end, or else you can just comment it a lot in the comment section, and I would ask the team to do it because I won't be able to do this. Like, I won't be able to maintain a Discord group or a WhatsApp group. Good evening, Rosie Paul. Good evening, Shai Krishan. Good evening, Rakesh. So today the very first problem we would be seeing is parenthesis checker, which is a problem that has appeared, that has the company tags as Flipkart, Amazon, Microsoft, Oyo Rooms, even Google, Adobe, Walmart, Oracle, Snapdeal, these all companies. Then we would be solving this problem, which is a very interesting problem, and it has been asked by the top tier companies like. So that was my speaker turned off, like I was listening to some music before I came to the stream. So then this question has been asked by some of the famous companies, like top tier one companies like Flipkart, Amazon, Microsoft, DirectI, and Google itself. So this is a very standard problem and a very important problem, as well as this is kind of the most important problem. Okay, these two problems are, I can say that this is a kind of VBI problem. And the third problem, you need to solve it on your own, which is this one. Okay, today I would be giving you the hint of this problem, and then you can share the approach of some takeaway home problems, so that if anyone is following this series after a certain period of time, he would be able to learn from it. Fair enough. Good evening, Sashi. How are you? Okay, so fair enough. So I think we are pretty good to move forward. Stop the screen sharing. Okay, so we would just wait for a little bit of instance and then we would move forward. Okay, so by the way, any suggestions or feedback or any modification you would like on this 21 days of habit building workshop, I can't promise you that I would be able to modify the stream, but I would ask the team to modify it according to the user base. So now on the fourth day, the people who are really serious and who would continue are there, and most of them would continue till the end, I suppose. Like, अब ओके अब करना मत. बाय द वे बहुत जन सर कर रहे थे, like Devashish and these all people. Kindly don't call me sir. I'm more accustomed to calling as भैया or said. Okay, भैया ही रहने देता है. सर जितना बूढ़ा लगता भी नहीं हो उतना ऑफिशियल बिहेव भी नहीं करता. चलो, so let's start with the very first problem. Mhm. Mhm. Okay, say take some moment of time. to just read the problem. Okay, quickly read the problem, and then we would move forward. Can we make it to 7 to 9 or 9 to 11? See, we can make it, but like at any time, like for me 8 to 10 is best. Why? Because I come to office at around 7, I take a 1 hour break, and then I start the stream, and after 10 I am free. I get 1 or 2 hours for myself. सो दिस इज मोस्ट अफोर्डेबल फॉर मी इफ आई एम बीइंग ऑनेस्ट. ओके, सो मैं खुद भी नहीं चाहता कि ये 7 to 9 हो, क्योंकि बहुत ज़्यादा रश हो जाएगा. ओके, आई नीड टू रश फ्रॉम माई ऑफिस. दिस इज द वेरी फर्स्ट रीजन. 9 to 11, that I need to be free till 11 p.m. After 11, I can take my dinner. So it would be a little bit problematic, I suppose. Like you can also understand. Today, nowadays, I'm having dinner after 10 o'clock. So it's indeed late. So 8 to 10 is a fair amount of time. Like why we decided for 8 to 10, like it was a suggestion from my side, because after this stream, like after this 21 days of habit building workshop, what would happen? What would happen? Like let's say a person who is very interested or very serious, then after 21 days of coding he is accustomed to the coding part. Now he would go out there and start giving contest. Now when he would start giving contest, he would find out that majority of the contests are held at 8 to 10. Why? Because it covers all the regions internationally. Okay, so that is why I like this is the optimal time for people who are serious and want to continue. For people who are not taking the dinner and just like just not taking this as a chill stream, like बस podcast जैसा देख रहे खाते खाते. This is not the scenario for them. It is best, and for me also this is more prescribable. So Ashish, if possible, uh, kindly just try to बी विद इट. ओके, सो सर आप पाइथन भी पढ़ा दो प्लीज़, आप बहुत अच्छा पढ़ाते हो. सो एक्चुअली द थिंग इज आई माइट टेक पाइथन, बट एट दिस मोमेंट ऑफ टाइम Java and C++ is the most asked. So I'm just trying to focus on the majority of the things. If I get time, I would also teach Python. Okay. So quickly give me a one in the chat. Like there are more than 55 viewers at this point of time. 58 ho gaya. So quickly like the video, like karte hain, and then we would start. Have to take the dinner after 10. That's why only. Yep. Like I am a little bit fitness freak, so ऐसा नहीं है कि still being a software engineer, I don't like to like I don't want to take a toll on my health. I'm already working very hard. So if I start ignoring my health, it would be very problematic. Okay, fair enough. Just quickly like the video. Okay. Thanks a lot, Pratik, Guhan, Apeksha, and Ajay and all. So now I think we are pretty good to move forward. Okay. So this is the question. Take a minute or so. Which computer language preferable for campus placement? C++, Java, Python, the most preferable one. Okay. So now let's start with the very first one. Mhm. Okay. So now entire screen और इसके बाद I need to present my आ गया आ रहा है आ गया चलो. I hope the electricity doesn't dance like yesterday. Okay, so fair enough. Let's start. Okay, so now see this. Okay, so you are given a bracket sequence and you need to tell if it is balanced or not balanced. Okay, so now what I can do is this curly braces and this curly braces, and this curly braces can correspond to this curly braces, and this curly braces corresponds to this curly braces. Okay, So I can see that every bracket is satisfied. Like if you just see, this bracket is also satisfied, this bracket is also satisfied, and this bracket is also satisfied. Okay, so brackets are extremely useful for us. Mhm. Why this is not working? Any other color that would work on? Okay. Don't know why it is not working, but still just ignore this at this point. So now you can see that this is how the bracket sequence is preserved. Okay. So just giving you an insight about this. This can also be done in your code editor in VS Code by using something like bracket colorizer. Okay. Just for your info. Okay, this is also done by bracket colorizer to understand which bracket is enclosing which bracket. Okay, so now we just need to see if it is balanced or not. Balanced matlab kya? This bracket should be like, this bracket should end only this bracket, and this bracket should own only this bracket, and this bracket is enclosing this bracket. Let's say what are the wrong formats of bracket. Let's say we have something like this, and it is closed by this. This is not a valid sequence of bracket because it is not closed by the same kind of bracket. Okay, so as you can see, this is closed by the same kind of bracket, this is closed by same kind of bracket, this is closed by same kind of bracket. Okay, एक ही ब्रैकेट से इनक्लोज्ड कर रहे हैं. Okay, so this is making it easy. So now how can we solve up this problem? Okay, seeing the very first instance, it seems to be an easy problem. What we can do is, let's say the bracket sequence would be of like this. Okay, the bracket sequence can be of like this. So what we can do is, we can stand at this position and we can see what is the latest bracket on the left hand side. So we can stand on the right hand side bracket. So see, what we can do is, we can do something like this. First we would find the first closing bracket. Okay, closing bracket ढूंढते हैं. So this is the point where we have a closing bracket. Then we would go on, for single element we would go on the left hand side and we would try to find the enclosing opening bracket. Okay, so we found an enclosing opening bracket, that is this one at this point. So now we would remove this. Now again we would find this. Now we find again an opening bracket, like closing bracket, and we saw an enclosing bracket. So we would again remove this one. Okay, so now again we have the same thing here. Sorry. Okay, so now we again have this closing bracket here, and we would try to find the enclosing opening bracket, and say we found out, so we would also delete this. Okay, so now again we would find an enclosing opening bracket, we would try to find enclosing closing bracket, and then we would also find out. So at the end, if we have nothing, we would say that this is a valid sequence. जो किया एक बार invalid sequence के साथ करके देखते हैं. Okay, फिर से करते हैं. Let's take an invalid sequence. Okay, let's say we have something like this. Okay, and we have something like this on this side. Okay, this is not a valid sequence. Okay, this is not a balanced sequence. So now we would try to first find a closing bracket. We found out it here. So now in closing bracket is not a bracket which is the opposite one. So at this point, if we first find a disparity in this, we would return no, it is not possible. बेसिकली करना ये है, ब्रैकेट सीक्वेंस में होता क्या है, हमें पता है कि जिस तरह का ब्रैकेट से अगर वो कर्ली ब्रेसेस से ओपन होता है तो वो कर्ली ब्रेसेस से ही बंद होना चाहिए. तो हम लोग क्या करेंगे, पहला बंद ब्रैकेट ढूंढेंगे. अगर वो बंद ब्रैकेट कर्ली ब्रेसेस है तो इस तरफ हम लोग जाके देखने लगेंगे कि इस साइड उसके इमीडिएट पे कर्ली ब्रेसेस है कि नहीं. अगर हमें दोनों कर्ली ब्रेसेस मिल गया तो दोनों को हटा देते हैं. ओके, दोनों को हटा देने के बाद लेट्स से दिस वाज आल्सो लाइक दिस, दोनों को हटाने के बाद कर्ली ब्रेसेस हट गए एंड दोनों के बाद अगेन हम लोग देखना शुरू करेंगे कि ऐसे है. ओके, उधर हमको मिला कि दिस इज नॉट अ कर्व्ड वन, दैट इज द नॉर्मल वन. दिस इज अ स्क्वायर ब्रैकेट एंड दिस इज नॉट अ स्क्वायर ब्रैकेट. सो एट दिस पॉइंट यहाँ पे एक गलती है, सो दैट इज व्हाई वी वुड से नो. तो हम लोग ऐसा ही कुछ सोच रहे हैं अभी तक. डू आई मेक सेंस? अगर हम लोग इस चीज को पेन एंड पेपर में देखेंगे तो हमारे दिमाग में ऐसा ही कुछ आता है. Okay, this is just talking about the intuition. Okay, like will this kind of intuition come into your head or not? So are you able to understand the solution? Are you able to comprehend what I'm trying to say? Will you be able to take out the intuition from yourself? Okay, sir, I took in beat sir I take admission BTech in Calcutta University. All the best. पीसीए के बाद कौन सा ऑप्शन करना ठीक रहेगा जिससे आईटी सेक्टर में जॉब मिले? डू एमटेक, सॉरी, डू एमसीए, सॉरी. ओके, प्लीज डोंट डू दिस. लाइक दिस इज वेरी इजी टू से. लाइक मैं भी एक लाइन बोल के जा सकता था, बट द इंट्यूशन इज इम्पोर्टेंट कि सर स्टैक सोचा कैसे. सो इफ आई जस्ट आस्क यू कि तुमने स्टैक कैसे सोचा, यू वुड फॉल इनटू ट्रबल. सो एटलीस्ट जस्ट बी अ लिटिल बिट काम. मैं भी काम हूँ ना, आप भी काम रहो, कोई जल्दी थोड़ी है. वी आर नॉट फाइटिंग अ वॉर हियर. सो आराम से पढ़ते हैं ना. जल्दी है आपको, मिलने जाना है किसी से? हाँ, किससे मिलने जाना है? ओके, थैंक्स अ लॉट रघुराम, थैंक्स अ लॉट आशीष, थैंक्स अ लॉट हिमांशु, थैंक्स अ लॉट प्रतीक. ओके, fair enough. So now we can move forward. यहाँ पे कुछ. Okay. So now I think we can pretty good to move forward. Sir, we start from back to left. So what we no, we are not starting from back to left. Okay, you can do either of the ways. You find the opening bracket. Okay, you find the first opening bracket, last opening bracket, but that would be a little bit tough. Why? Because last opening bracket कहाँ पे मिलेगा, that is very difficult. So हम लोग क्या करते हैं कि we find the first closing bracket. Closing bracket यहाँ है तो opening bracket would be on the left hand side. So opening bracket इधर इधर दोनों same जैसा मिला तो गायब हो जाएगा. फिर सोचो, let's say this is a square bracket. So we know that if this is a closing square bracket, then at this point somewhere would lie the opening square bracket. तो हम लोग देखेंगे इस साइड उसका opening square bracket है कि नहीं. That is why we need to start from right to back, but left to right you can also do it, but that would be a little bit complex because आपको समझ कैसे आएगा which is the last bracket. Okay, can we use two pointer to this problem? Yes, absolutely, we can use two pointer to this problem. How to prepare for MS in abroad? So I think you should ask a person who is doing MS in abroad. Okay, like I am in an industry, so I can tell which would be beneficial for the industry, but I'm not in abroad, so I don't think I'm the correct person to answer this. Sir, यही pointer concept क्या होता है समझ नहीं आ रहा है. Pointer concept क्या होता है समझ नहीं आ रहा है. Okay, just see. We can do something like this. Okay, so see, guess what is this pointer concept? So see, this is our curly base. This is a square bracket, okay, and this is this one bracket, okay, simple bracket. So now, what is this point? Like, let's have the indexing because string would also have indexing. So now what I can do is I would try to iterate over this. Okay, by doing what? I is equals to 0, I is less than n, and I plus plus. So at this point, I would say if I is equal to a opening bracket or square closing bracket or curly braces closing bracket, then we need to start going on the left hand side. Left hand side मतलब क्या? Agar if this is, so first closing bracket would be at this position, that is this one. So if this is I, then we need to iterate from I minus 1 till 0. I minus 1 इस side से इस side जाना है. So what we would do is we would say for j is equal to I minus 1, j is greater than equal to 0, and j plus plus. At this point, if j is a open bracket, we would return this. This is how there are two pointers on I and j, and we can do that. So now this makes sense. It is just like you need to write out the index. You need to see what is this e. If we move on that side, that would be I minus 1 to 0. So it's just like you need to visualize and you need to write it down in a pen and paper. एक example build कर लो, build a standard example, keep everything over there, keep all the indexing over there, and then start writing the program according to that example. That would help you a lot, and you don't need to remember the approach. Okay. Am I clear, Shashi Kumar? Sir, please tell us about segmentation fault and why it occurs. Segmentation fault occurs if you are doing something wrong in programming. What do you mean by wrong in programming? You are finding an index which is not present. So index out of bound error you would have. You are dividing it by 0, so you would have a floating point error. This thing. Hey, Mr. Hazra, are you using JavaScript to resolve these exercises or Java? So basically, in this, we don't really require the specificity of different language. The idea is very simple. Most of the data structures are available out there also, but primarily I would be solving them in C++. Would be also showing you the Java code. If you want, you can just comment, and I would also explain you the JavaScript code. If you are not able to resolve the Java code on your end, JavaScript code on your end, you can consider asking me on LinkedIn and I would reply you in my free time. Okay. So now let us see. Okay. So see, this is this might be the stacking is for scalability. This seems fine on the dev language. But scaling is for scalability, won't solve the purpose in DSA. मुझे जानना है कि DSA में stack कब use करना है. Okay, so I would tell you when do you need to use stack. Like stack is when needed. Okay, I won't tell that this is stack. So I would use stack. I won't tell you this line directly. I would kind of boil down to the conclusion that you would say that your stack is needed. Okay, so now let's start doing this. Okay. So fair enough. So let's discuss the time complexity of the solution. Okay. So now see this scenario. Okay. Now let's consider, like, let's say you told this to your interviewer. Your interviewer is telling that you are able to implement, and your interviewer is telling, okay, Siddharth, I'm impressed. But can you tell me the time complexity in terms of big O? Okay, sir. मैं अच्छा बच्चा हूँ, मैं तेज बच्चा हूँ, and I would be able to reply. So कैसे करते हैं? Let's see that also. See. In the worst scenario, I can be the last index. I can be last index, and J would be this index. Yes, it is basically. So for one index, you need to iterate how many position? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So for one index, you need to iterate n minus 1 position. ये पूरा position आप iterate करोगे ना, okay? ये पूरे पे जाओगे in the worst scenario. So I can say that for one position, okay, one position, at max we would do n minus 1 operation. Okay, so how many number of positions are there? The number of positions are n. So I need to multiply, like this is an equation, so I need to multiply n on both sides. So for n position I would be doing n multiplied by n minus 1 operation, which is equal to n square minus n. Okay, n square minus n, but here we would be ignoring the constant, so we can say that the time complexity is big O of n square. Okay, now big O of n square, you told this to your interviewer, and now your interviewer is telling you, okay, so that seems fine, but can you reduce the time complexity? Okay, now let's talk about space complexity too. Let's say you told him the time complexity. Now you are trying to tell him the space complexity. Here, as you can see, we are only using loops and variables. Variables don't contribute to space complexity, big O of n space complexity. So we are not using any auxiliary data structure. Whatever data set was given, we are manipulating on that. We don't need any auxiliary data structure. So space complexity would be big O of 1, and it is constant. Okay, seems a fair deal. Now let's say this is constant, so he's okay with it, but this is big O of n square and he wants you to optimize over this. Okay, so now where, like, what was causing the issue? Let us draw the same test case again. What was causing the issue? Okay, this is a closing bracket. So we need to find out the last element, that was opening bracket. Okay, so we need to access the last element. So we need the access of the last element. We need the access of the last element. This is the very first one. Now, if they both are matching, like if they both are not matching, then we would return no. If they both matched, if they both matched, then we need to remove the last element. Okay, so we would say remove the last element. We need to remove the last element also. Now, this is done. Okay. So by doing this, by having the access and the removal of the last element, we can solve this. But let's see one more test case. Okay, this seems simple, that we need a data structure which has the access to the last element and we can insert at the last element. But let's say we have another scenario. Okay, let's say we have something like this. Okay, so if this is an opening bracket, then we would insert it, okay, at the last. So we need insertion at the last. Insertion at the last. Now we are having a new element, so we need removal at the last. So by doing this, we would be able to remove this. Okay. Now we again need to insert this opening bracket. So opening bracket we would insert, closing bracket we would compare. Okay. So if we have a data structure which can help in all this, then it is good to go. So whenever you have these all conditions, like these all requirements, in a data structure, then the first thing that should come in your mind is nothing but stack. Now, what is stack all about? Stack is nothing but stack is a very simple data structure. Okay, kitna simple hai? Let us understand that. Let's say I have this smartphone of my own. Okay, then I have this remote of my own. Okay, let's say this is a DeX. Okay, let me just show you this. Let me just explain you with a real life scenario. Okay, so see this. Let's say I can't bring my desk up here, but let's say this is a desk. Okay, this is a desk. Take my hand as a desk. Okay, now I want to keep elements on this desk. Okay, so I take this phone and I keep it on top. Then I take this remote and keep it on the top. Then I take, let's say, I am just taking all the things that I have. Let's say I have a clock and I would keep it on the top. Let's say I have a connector also, I would keep it on the top. Okay. Now I want to see like I don't want to, like I can't remove elements from between. मैं बीच से element नहीं निकाल सकता. Now, if I see from the top, what is the first thing that I would see? I would see this connector. Okay, I would see this connector because this was the last element that was inserted. Okay, so so the top element of a stack is nothing but the last inserted element. Now, I want to remove element from this stack. So which is the first element I would remove if I don't want to disturb the ordering? The first element I would remove is the last inserted element. Now if I have the stack like this, the first element I would remove is the last inserted element after that. Okay, so stack can be visualized as nothing but a stack of some objects kept over one another, and the last inserted object is the top element. And if we start removing elements, it would start removing elements from the top. Okay, so what is this thing? This is coming first, then this is coming first, then this is coming after that, then this is coming after that, this is coming after that. And if I start removing this was inserted at the last, but if I remove this would get popped out first. Okay, so that is why it is told that stack is nothing but it is a data structure that follows last in, first out. The last person to kept on the top, last element to keep on the top is the first element which would be going out. Okay, so that is why. And what are the different terminologies of stack? The last inserted element is referred to as top element. Then if we remove that element, it is referred to as the pop operation. So pop operation is nothing but removing the last element. Okay, push operation is nothing but keeping element on the last. Okay, top is nothing but seeing elements from the top, and the very first element you would be able to see is this one. Okay, so do I make sense? What is stack? What is last in, first out? What is push? What is pop? And what is top? Am I clear with all this? By the way, like I have tried to explain in the best possible manner. I have a doubt regarding this approach. Some opening bracket could work for two same closing bracket to its right. Are we making it opening and alternate for closing bracket? No. As soon as we find a match, we would remove both of them. That is why one opening bracket won't work for two closing bracket, because इसीलिए हम लोग ढूंढ रहे हैं और उसे निकाल दे रहे हैं, so that we don't get confused with other opening or closing bracket. Thank you so much. Thanks you so much, Srushti Malviya. Okay, Srushti. This is a unique name. I find Srishti. Like Srishti was there in my school. Srishti Chaudhary. She was my schoolmate. Like she was not my like she was my classmate as well as my class monitor. So I remember her name very clearly. Not the stack approach, the naive one. Yep, in the naive one also we are thinking of making it as -1. Okay, यहाँ पे तो हम लोग remove नहीं कर सकते, but we can make it modify it to something different. Like we can just modify a bracket to a -1, which would tell us that yes, this is not what you are looking for. Okay, so can I have a quick one for the people who are done with this problem, like done with these all terminologies of stack, and then I would start explanation. Do we need system design if we have 3 years experience in system service based? Yes, at least do LLD. If you are comfortable, do HLD also. It would be very beneficial. Maybe it will be more efficient solution if you write all algorithm first, then write the code in various languages, programming languages. I would show you the pseudo code of various programming language. How to remove from string in C? You can do the pop up. You can do the remove operation in C++, but here you can just make it as -1, which would tell you that yes, this is removed. Okay. So now let's move forward. Now I would just show you this and I would just ask you for inputs. Okay. So now let's see this. Mhm. So now let's see this is how stack is used in C++. Basically, you just need to write stack and what kind of stack. Like this is telling us that what elements would be there in the stack. Okay, let's make a stack of integers, like just like in the array. Int array means an array of integers, char array means a char of integers, character of arrays, and float array is equals to an array which would consist of float. In the same manner, stack of int is nothing but a stack which would consist of integers. Now let you just tell me the output of this. Okay, so this is st.push. Let's say I push st.push, then again st.push2, and then I do st.pop. Okay, and then I do cout st.top, and then I again, okay, then I again push st. Mm-mm-mm. Then I again push st.push 5. Okay, what would be the output of this segment of code? I will just send you this. Quickly tell me the output of this. Okay, quickly just do it on a pen and paper and tell me the output of this. Till then, I'm just copying the code so that I can just explain everyone also. Please do write the code in Java as well. I just showed you how to do it in C++. Java would be the same thing. Okay, Java. Okay, Java stack. Yep, the same thing. Only the initialization is different. And instead of top, it is peak. Instead of top, it is peak. Other than that, everything is same. You can just see it for yourself, and then you can tell me the point at which you are not able to understand. Jil Faldu. What is your name, Jil Faldu? Is your name Jil Faldu only, or this is your pet name or something, or this is some kind of game name? Okay. So now let us see this. क्या होता है output? Mhm. हम्म, अरे गिक्स वाला आ गया. So I just pasted the solution. So okay. I'm still not very accustomed to this iPad thing. No boo. Chalo, let's do it. So see, the very first one was we are having a stack. So we should visualize it in the form of stack only. So let's just make it like this. So first we are pushing 1 into the stack. So it would get pushed something like this. Then pushing 2 into the stack. So it would be pushed like this. So now we are removing elements. So in the stack, the element to be removed would be from the top. So we would remove this element. And then we are printing the top element. So now the top element is 1. So 1 would get printed here. This is the output. Okay. Then we again push 5. So this is how the stack would look after this snippet of code is run, and this is how the output would look. Okay. So just tell me if I'm clear with this or not. Let's confirm this. सर जी थोड़ा हिंदी में समझा देता हूँ. थोड़ा हिंदी में क्या हो रहा है ना कि सबसे पहले 1 आ रहा है. ठीक है, यहाँ पे 1 आ रहा है, उसके ऊपर 2 आ रहा है, 2 आ रहा है, और अब 2 को हटा दिया मैंने तो 1 रह गया. दैट इज व्हाई द टॉप एलिमेंट इज 1. उसके बाद फिर यहाँ पे 1 था, बचा ही हुआ था, उसके ऊपर फिर से 5 आ गया. दैट इज व्हाई द आउटपुट इज 1. लेट अस जस्ट कंफर्म दिस आल्सो. सी द आउटपुट इज 1. ओके, चलो ये भी क्लियर हो गया. And I'm not getting segmentation fault. Okay. So अब कुछ सोचते हैं. चलो अब सोचते हैं. चलो बोल दिया. अब ये मत बोल देना सर आपके पास दिमाग है जो सोचोगे. like we like do we do a lot with friends and all. Like दिमाग है जो सोचोगे. Okay. So now if you observe that access of the last element can be easily done with something known as top operation or peak operation in Java. Removal of the last element can be done by pop operation, and insertion can be done by push operation. By doing all of this in the stack, and everything push pop everything is done in constant time. So this is very beneficial. Okay. So now for searching one element, so what was the total cost? Now for one element, we were doing n minus 1 operation. So now we would be just doing one operation. And that would be very easy. Okay. So now the algorithm would be very much simple. We would do the same thing here. Okay. So now I would write the pseudo algorithm. So if the particular bracket is an opening bracket, if the current element is an opening bracket, okay, like this, if it is something like this, then we would push to the stack, pushed to the stack. If we find a closing bracket, we find a closing bracket. Okay, what can be the type of closing bracket? The closing bracket ऐसा भी हो सकता है, ऐसा भी हो सकता है, ऐसा भी हो सकता है. If we find the closing bracket, we would take a sneak peek of the last element. Okay, so if the top is equal to the closing bracket, Then we would remove the top. Then we would remove the top element. If it is not equal, it is not the corresponding opening bracket, then at this point only we would return no. So if no is not returned, then at the end we would return big yes. हाँ sir, हो गया. Okay, this was the algorithm. Okay, and at the end there is one more issue to this. Okay, what is this issue? I would just tell you that also. The issue is this is fine, but let's take an example. Okay, let's take a small bit of example. The example is that if we have something like this, then सब तो stack के अंदर घुस जाएंगे because it is an opening bracket, and we won't be able to return or no because हमने तो compare ही नहीं किया. Closing bracket आएगा ही नहीं तो हम लोग compare क्यों करने जाएंगे? If we don't encounter a closing bracket, we are not comparing. So if after doing all this, if we are left with some elements, so we would first check कि सब कुछ करने के बाद stack खाली हुआ कि नहीं. So if stack is empty, then only the answer would be yes, else the answer would be no. Okay, I might just take a screenshot of this and then tell me if I'm clear with this approach or not. Just take a quick screenshot of this. उसके बाद screenshot देख के मुझे बताओ is this thing clear or not. Okay, just see the screenshot then. I am just observing it from the live chat. Just tell me, give me a quick one. फोन कब काम आएगा? इतने मेहनत से फोन लिया, वो भी इतना महंगा. I am just observing. Why 5 not as output? Because 5. Yeah. Okay. So give me a quick one if this thing is clear. That this whole idea is clear to you or not. Thanks a lot, Ashish. Thanks a lot, Chirag. Thanks a lot, Himanshu. अब इम्प्लीमेंटेशन पे जाते हैं. इतना हो गया. सर मत बुलाओ यार, रघुराम सृष्टि. इतना बूढ़ा हो क्या? थैंक्स अ लॉट. चलो. अब चलते हैं इम्प्लीमेंटेशन पे. अब टाइम आ गया. Chrome tab, parenthesis checker, and SS. Okay. So now I would first build a function. Okay. ये function क्या करेगा? Opening bracket लेगा और check करेगा कि the other should be closing. Okay. So let's say I would say goal CMP. Okay. And this is an opening bracket. Okay. This is an opening bracket and this is a closing bracket. Okay. So if okay, if opening bracket is equal to something like this and closing bracket is equal to something like this, okay, then we would return true. हाँ भैया सही है आपका भी सही है. कितने तरह के ब्रैकेट है? 1 2 3, 3 तरह के ब्रैकेट है. 3 बार कॉपी पेस्ट कर लिया. ओके, फिर ना अगर इन सब में से मैच नहीं किया सो वी वुड रिटर्न फॉल्स. नाउ जस्ट चेंज द वैल्यू. ये ओपनिंग कर दिया. दिस इज स्क्वायर ब्रैकेट, सिंपल ब्रैकेट, सिंपल ब्रैकेट. So this is, so here we would just pass on the last element of the stack. Last element opening होना चाहिए and this would be the current element. So we would pass the last element of the stack and the current element to the function और function ही मुझे बता देगा कि ये इसका corresponding closing bracket है या नहीं है. Okay, what is this function for? This function is for checking that this is the corresponding closing bracket or opening bracket or not. Okay, fair enough. अब चलते हैं string में. String I am more accustomed to writing as, so I would write as. Okay, string as. So ऐसी का आदत है. Okay, so now I would have a stack of character. Why? Because we have characters, and we would name it as st. Now we would start iterating over the string itself. Let's use a for loop only, not for each loop. For int I is equals to 0, I is less than n and I plus plus. But n तो है ही नहीं. But we can find n. What is this n? Int n is equals to s dot size. Okay. Size भी निकल गया. Okay. So now we would say if x is a opening bracket, if s of I is equal to something like this, or s of I is equal to something like this, or s of I is equal to something like this. If it is an opening bracket, okay, ऐसा तो नहीं लिख सकते ना. If it is opening bracket, ऐसा नहीं होता. प्रोग्राम ये सब नहीं समझेगा. प्रोग्राम नादान है. So we would push it to the stack. Okay? We would push s of I to the stack. Okay. If it is not an opening bracket, then means it is a closing bracket, because we have only two kind of bracket. We have nothing else. So else condition, okay, we would only have opening and closing bracket. No? The printing is done. So given examination where the pair, given expression string, examine the pairs. For example, this. Otherwise, it prints not valid. अच्छा देख लेते हैं. Okay. If it is any type of closing bracket, I am not really sure that it would only consist of opening and closing bracket or not. It might be a scenario that it might contain some element, like some elements other than opening or closing. So first I would assume that it only contains of opening or closing. So यहाँ पे opening handle हो गया, यहाँ पे opening handle हो गया, मतलब यहाँ पे closing ही handle होना चाहिए. अभी के लिए देखते हैं, ठीक है? So if we have no elements to compare, अगर हमारे पास elements है ही नहीं, what would be this scenario? If suppose string हमारा ऐसा है, let's say string is something just like this, okay, something like this. Let's say string is something like this. We first find the closing bracket. So इस point पे we don't have anything in the stack, okay. So we would say if st dot empty, like अगर stack empty है, ठीक है. अब और कंडीशन में तभी आएगा जब स्टैक एम्प्टी नहीं है. अगर स्टैक एम्प्टी नहीं है, वी हैव सम पेयर ऑफ ओपनिंग ब्रैकेट इन द स्टैक, बिकॉज स्टैक में हम लोग सिर्फ ओपनिंग ब्रैकेट ही रख रहे हैं, बिकॉज वी आर ओनली कीपिंग ओपनिंग ब्रैकेट इन द स्टैक. सो वी वुड कीप गो एंड कीप इट टू द कंपेयर फंक्शन. ओके, सो वी वुड से cmp st डॉट टॉप, लास्ट एलिमेंट को पिक करूंगा, ओके, एंड द करंट एलिमेंट. व्हाट इज द करंट एलिमेंट? s of I. अगर if this is equal to false, if this is equal to 0, okay, either elements है ही नहीं और elements है तो मैच नहीं कर रहे हैं, दोनों कंडीशन पे we would return false. else वो मैच कर गए हैं, else वो मैच कर गए हैं. So we need to remove the last opening bracket from the stack. So st dot on. Okay. And so after all this, we need to check if the stack is empty or not. So if st dot empty, that is the stack is empty, then we would return true, else we would return false. Now just compile and see how many errors are we getting. Okay, seems like we are getting correct output. Okay, done. I would be giving you the code of this. Let me know if you are having any issues or not. Mhm. It is a way of respect for someone who is teaching. क्या टीचिंग, क्या रिस्पेक्ट, कौन सा रिस्पेक्ट, किस चीज की बात कर रहे हो आप? In line number 31, how? So see, CMP how? So CMP is what? CMP would tell me if we have a corresponding closing bracket or not. अगर corresponding closing bracket है, then we would return true. अगर नहीं है, तो we would return false. Let's say for scenario that we have a curly braces this side and like something like this. This is a square bracket. This is a curly braces. Okay. So this is opening. This is closing. This is opening. This is fine, but this is not correct. So here in this scenario we would return false, and यहीं पे we would return false because match ही नहीं कर रहे. At any point if this is not matching, we would return a false. Sir, Java पे करना है. So just replace this. Instead of top, replace this with peak. Instead of pop, what is pop? Let's see. I would show you both. Okay. So let me just show you this also. Okay. So आज देखते हैं, एक चीज करते हैं, सबके लिए ही सॉल्व कर देते हैं. ठीक है, सबके लिए ही सॉल्व कर देते हैं ये चीज. Okay. So convert the below code to Java. Look. This is Java code. Okay. Convert the below code. See, this is same thing. Okay. Convert the same for Python also and JavaScript. और कुछ? Okay. So just try to understand the concept. ये syntax changing it to different language. Someone can do it out there for free. Okay. नहीं bro. See, telling sir is marked as a respect in India, but मुझे ऐसा है नहीं कि मुझे सब सर बुलाए, because I'm like I don't feel myself to be that old to be called as sir. Yes, I know that people are not called by sir just by age, बट मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि मैं ऐसे हंस खेल पाता हूँ, लाइक आई एम एबल टू कनेक्ट विथ यू मोर. लाइक मुझे ऐसा लगता है क्या मजाक वजाक कर पाता हूँ. इफ यू से मी सर आई वुड बिकम मोर फॉर्मल. ओके, मैं ऐसे मजाक नहीं कर पाऊंगा अगर आप सर बोलोगे तो. ओके, लाइक इफ यू कॉल मी सर आई वुड बी इन अ डिफरेंट पोजिशन. इफ यू कॉल मी लाइक इफ समवन इज लाइक इट्स जस्ट द सिनेरियो दैट अगर कोई भैया बोलता है तो आप गाली नहीं देते हो, बट कोई बेटा बोलता है तो आप गाली देते हो. ओके, लेट्स से आपका दोस्त आपको बेटा बुलाता है तो आप गाली देते हो, बट आपका दोस्त आपको भैया बुलाता है तो आप गाली नहीं देते हो. इट्स जस्ट लाइक द सेम सिनेरियो. व्हाट इज चैट जीपीटी? गुड क्वेश्चन. We would get back to you. Okay. In line number 3, SI is equals to 0. Explain this. Mhm. इसीलिए just ask everyone to call me भैया और भैया सर, so that I am able to like मैं ज़्यादा chill होके बात कर सकता हूँ. लाइन नंबर 30 इक्वल टू 0, बिकॉज ये इक्वल टू 0 तभी रिटर्न करेगा जब ये किसी से मैच नहीं करेगा. When we are not able to find a corresponding bracket to that, then we would return 0. Okay, so now anyone has any issues with any language, like किसी और language का code चाहिए? Okay, just give me a quick one if this thing is clear and we will move forward to the next problem. चलो बताओ. Next problem is very interesting. उसका intuition मिलना is a little bit difficult. Just give me a quick one. Srushti Malviya. Srushti Malviya, can you quickly tell me at what point you are not able to understand? Just mention the line number. Sir, is there any career for full stack web development? Yes. It is like the most, like if you do full stack web development, you would get the maximum career opportunities. Like it's the best according to the current scenario. Okay. So others, give me a quick one. There are more than 40 people out there. Thank you so much. चलो आगे बढ़ते हैं. सर चैट जीपीटी क्या होती है? गूगल इट, लर्न अबाउट इट. It would help you a lot, because I think that in the coming years, instead of googling around, there would be a prompt round on chat gpt and learn to use it. छोटा बच्चा है, बहुत हेल्प कर देता है. छोटा इंटर्न है आपका. Learn to how to prompt in chat gpt. So done. Read the next problem, take few moments, and then we will discuss. Maximum of all subarrays of size k. Just पढ़ लो quickly, जल्दी से पढ़ो, and then we will discuss. मेरा सर से टेस्ट केस चुप रह गया. नहीं, अब नहीं चुप रहा. चलो जल्दी पढ़ो and we would move forward to this. Done reading the problem? Now let us understand the problem. Okay, chalo, देखते. Now see, in this question, you are asked the maximum of each subarray. So let us first understand what is a subarray. Okay, so now there are two concepts related to like arrays. The first one is subarray, and remember that there is also, okay, I would tell you from there. So what is a subarray? Subarray क्या है? Subarray is one part of the array. One part of the array. समझ नहीं आया ना? मैं बताता हूँ. चलो आज भी शुरू है नौटंकी. Let's just continue. So अब मैं अपने आप पे एक्सपेरिमेंट नहीं कर सकता, so I would just draw it out. Okay, let's say this is a big person. This is a big person. Okay, so now I can take only one part of him. So I would take the whole head of him. मैं villain हूँ. I would take the whole hand of him. मैं villain हूँ. I would take the whole right hand of it. मैं villain हूँ. I would take the whole body. I would take the whole body of him, lower body of him. मैं villain हूँ. I would take the whole of it, level element. These all were subarrays. Okay. When an element is not a subarray, let me explain you that also. Now let us understand in terms of arrays. वो body वाली example याद रखना so that you would be able to retain it for a longer period of time. So now we have 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9. Let's say. Okay. So now the scenario is such that we would take a part of the element. Okay. So a part can be as small as one element. A part can be a little big as two elements. It can be these two elements from between also. It can be three elements also. It can be these three elements also. It can be these three elements also. Okay. And it can be these all four elements also. It can be these all four elements also. Okay. And it can be the whole array also. Okay. So this was all the subarrays. Okay. Now if the question has asked me, find all subarray of size 3. So the very first subarray would be 1, 2, 3. So it would be 1, 3, 5. Sorry, 1, 3, 5. The next subarray would be 3, 5, 7. So 3, 5, 7. The next subarray would be 5, 7, 9. So next subarray would be 5, 7, 9. Okay. So this was all the subarrays of size 3. But these are not subarrays. What are not subarrays? This consists of 3 elements, but this is not a subarray. Why? Because we are taking two part of the array. We need to take one contiguous part of the array. So let's talk about the bookish definition of subarray. The bookish definition of subarray is a contiguous part of the array is known as subarray. Is known as subarray. Okay, this was what is subarray. So am I clear with what is subarray? Just give me a quick one. And now I would start with the sample test case. Okay, the test cases are not copied up till now. So I would stop the screen sharing. Maximum of all subarrays. This one. Okay. The same simple, and now let us move back. Okay, now see, here we are told that we need to find the maximum element in each subarray of size k. So this is the question asking us, find maximum element of each subarray of size k. Okay, so now let us understand this also. So first we have the very wait a minute. Okay, so now see this. First subarray of size 3 would be this one. 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2 and 3. इसमें maximum क्या है? The maximum is 3. So the output is this one. Okay. Now the next output. We have 2, 3, 1. So maximum क्या है 2, 3, 1 में? 3. That is why the output is 3. Okay. That is why the output is 3. Then we have 3, 1, 4. What is the maximum element in 3, 1, 4? It is 4. So we would write 4. Then we have 1, 4, 5. What is the maximum element in 1, 4, 5? It is 5. Then we have 4, 5, 2. What is the maximum element in 4, 5, 2? 5. So that is why the output is 5. Okay. Now we have 5, 2, 3. What is the maximum element in 5, 2, 3? It is 5. Okay. So now we have something like 2, 3, 6. What is the maximum element in 2, 3, 6? It is 6 itself. Okay. This is how the output is popping up. So am I clear with the problem statement? Am I clear with what is subarray? Am I clear with the sample test case? Give me a quick one if I'm clear with all this, and then we would discuss. Okay, it has already answered, Pawan Kumar. Thanks a lot. So quickly give me a reply. By the way, I just asked the maintenance, like I called them yesterday, and they told me that this kind of electricity going on and off is just because they are switching the electricity. Okay, like when the electricity is going out, they are switching it to generator, and it is coming back, it is switching again to generator. Like this, that is why there is a tripping in the electricity again and again, and they can't help it because it's summertime in Noida, and people are using readily their ACs. That is why this would keep happening, and I can't do anything about it. That is and I don't think that I should invest in a emergency because it is not my home. I am living here, so like for my just my job, and I can switch my job. That is why I don't have the intention to spend that much because I can't carry my emergency. But I have an emergency for the Wi-Fi, so the connection won't drop. Fingers crossed. चलो आगे बढ़ते हैं. So I'm clear to this. Let's understand this. The very first brute force approach would be very easy, like what we can think of, do what is said. So the very first brute force approach would be do what is said. Do what is said. What is said, Siddharth? Do what is said. What do you mean by that? So I would find all subarray, and for each one, find max for each one. Find max for each one. Max for each one. So this is a very easy thing to do. I would just find out all the subarrays and then I would find the maximum of each one. Okay. So if you are a beginner and you are not able to understand how to find all subarrays, so just search this and learn about this. Okay, this is the first brute force approach. Okay, this is the first brute force approach. And what is the time complexity of this approach? The time complexity of this approach would be something like this. See, let's say the subarray has three elements, 1, 2, 3. So I start from here and I try to find the maximum element. So for finding out the maximum element, we need to iterate over all the elements. So every time we need to iterate over k elements. Okay. So every time we need to iterate over k elements. So for one subarray, we would do big O of k operation. Like this is the For one subarray, the time complexity to find the maximum element is big O of k because the subarray is of size k. Now, so that how many subarrays can be there? Let us see this. So for 9 elements, subarray of size 3 is how much? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, 7. So 7 is nothing but n minus k minus 1. Okay, so ignoring the constant, it would be n minus k. Okay, so that is why so total number of subarrays would be what? N minus k. So multiply n minus k on both sides. So now the time complexity is big O of k multiplied by big O of n minus k. This is the time complexity. Okay. So that the interviewer is very impressed now and is telling me that Siddharth, can you lower down this time complexity also? And what is the space complexity? Did we use any data structure here? No. But we need to, so if you are finding all the subarrays, so you would require a data structure which would have a capacity of k, and like intermediate subarray ko to rakhna hoga na. So you can use only one data structure and you can keep editing it for every subarray. Like let's say for this, you can build a array of size 3. First you can keep 1, 2, 3, and then you can keep 2, 3, 1 like this. 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. Like you can keep editing the same subarray. After 2, 3, 1, you can also go to 3, 1, 4. So you would also go to 3, 1, 4. So you require a data structure of size k. So this is the time complexity, and the space complexity of this approach is big O of k. Do I make sense? Give me a quick 0 and 1. Quick me a quick 0 or 1. I would just check with this. The n multiplied by k can also be the answer. Time complexity again sir. चलो टाइम कॉम्प्लेक्सिटी एक बार फिर समझा देते हो. See what will you do here? So इसको पूरा পুরোটা মুছে দিচ্ছি ভালো করে. This was just Bengali. Okay, so let's do it. Now see, we would find all the subarrays. Let's just take the example of just let's take 4 1 2 3 4 5 6. Let's take 6 elements. Let's take that we are finding subarray of size 3. Okay, so we found out. So we would keep this in an array of size k. Now to find the maximum element, we would need to iterate over all the elements. How we would do it? We would initialize a value as 0. We found 2 greater than value, so we would edit it. We found 3 greater than this value, so we would edit it. Then we found 4 greater than 3, so we would edit it. So at the end, we found 4 is the answer, or 4 is the maximum answer. अगर मुझे सबसे लंबा लड़का क्लास में चाहिए तो मैं क्या करूंगा? मैं सारे लड़कों का हाइट लिखूंगा, जो सबसे ज्यादा आएगा दैट इज द लंबा लड़का. If I want to find out the tallest person in the class, I would write down the height of each and every one. Then the person who has the maximum height, I would say yes, this is the person I was looking for. So in the same manner, if I want to find out the maximum element, then I need to see the value of each of the element. So this is how I can say that yes, for, so in an array, so here the subarray size would be k. So for, so for finding, so for one subarray of size k, we would need to do k operation. Okay, we would need to do k operation to find out the maximum. So अब question आता है how many subarrays can be there. Okay, how many subarrays can be there? Now let us see this. How many subarrays हो सकते हैं? First we have 1 2 3 4 5 6. If there are 6 element, एक subarray ये हो गया, एक subarray ये हो गया, एक subarray ये हो गया, and एक subarray ये हो गया. So how many subarrays are there? 1 2 3 4. Okay, so 4 subarray आए, 4 subarray, 4 subarray of size 3 in 6 element. थोड़ा एलिमेंट बढ़ा देते हैं. Let's make it 7. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. The first subarray of size 3 would be this. The second subarray would be this. The third subarray would be this. The fourth subarray would be this. And the fifth subarray would be something like this. Okay, so if we increase one element, then the number of subarray would increase. Okay, so now we have how many subarrays? 5 subarray. 5 subarray of size 3 in 7 elements. So do we see a relation in them? Yes, we can see a relation in them. क्या है वो relation? That number of elements is n. Okay, n minus the subarray size, that is 3 minus 1. So here 6 minus 2, here 6 minus 3 minus 1 is equal to 4. Here 5 minus 3 minus 1. Okay, here 7, sorry, here 7 elements are there. 7 minus 3 minus 1 is equal to how much? 5. So we can easily say that the number of subarrays, so here we can say that in an array of size n, so just know this as a GK, okay? If an array contains n elements, then the number of subarrays of size k would be, how many subarrays can be there? N minus k minus 1. Okay, ignoring the constant, it would be n minus k. Ignoring the constant, constants are ignored. 1 2 3 4 1 lakh 2 lakh 4 lakh 5 lakh 10 lakh 10 crore, whatever it is, we ignore that. Only the variables remain. So variable आ गया. So for one subarray we were doing k operation. So for n minus k subarray, if we multiply n minus k both sides, it would be big O of k multiplied by big O of n minus k. Now do I make sense? Give me a quick 0 and 1. Make them stand on a plane surface. Time to taste. Time to connect is done. Ajay, Raghuram. Raghuram, can you tell me the point at which you are not able to understand? Himanshu and Ram Gopal, Chirag, am I clear to you all? Raghuram, just tell me the point at which you are not able to understand. Okay. सबको समझ आ गया? Only Raghuram is left. Just quickly confirm. Okay, clear. Okay. Thank you so much. Okay, chalo. So now the thing is how to solve the problems. कुछ सोचना पड़ेगा. इतना high, let's say if I tell this to the interviewer is impressed, but he wants a better solution. Okay, he wants a better solution. Better solution है हमारे पास. Let's observe this. This is a very like this. Be absolutely patient in this because इस पे थोड़ा concentration की need है. If you don't concentrate in here, you won't understand. Make sure you concentrate a lot. Okay. Now let's understand this. Okay. So let's see this. क्या हो सकता है? If we have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So the next subarray is what? 2, 3, 1. The next subarray is what? 3, 1, 4. The next subarray is what? 1, 4, 5. अगर आप ध्यान से देखोगे, so the first element is going out and a new element is getting inserted in the back. यहाँ पे भी वही हुआ. Earlier we have 1, 2, 3. So now 1 is going out and then a new element is coming from the back. Rest all the elements are same. सब आराम कर रहे हैं. So पहला और last element. So पहला element बाहर जा रहा है, last में नया element आ जा रहा है. अगर आप देखोगे 1, 2, 3 और 2, 3, 1 में क्या डिफरेंस है? पहला एलिमेंट बाहर गया, फिर से पीछे से एक नया एलिमेंट आ गया. 3, 1, 4 और 1, 4, 5 में क्या डिफरेंस है? 3 बाहर निकल गया, 5 नया अंदर आ गया. Okay, so one element is removed from the front and a new element is popped in. Okay, so this was the very first indication that we don't need to generate all possible subarrays. We can only do this thing. Remove element from, add element to the last and remove element from the front. Add element to the last, remove element from the front. And this is known as sliding window algorithm. Like here we don't require sliding window algorithm, but kind of this algorithm is sliding window. Learn about sliding window and you would be able to crack it. अब समझते हैं इसको. So now, if you see this closely, what we can do, मुझे बस still यहाँ पे we found out that this is done. Finding all subarrays is now a little bit easy. Finding subarray is now easy. Why? Because we can first take a subarray of size k and then we can insert element from the back and keep removing elements from the front. So finding all subarray is now easy. But still, finding the max for each one is still big O of k. इसको कैसे battle करोगे? So finding subarray is now easy. How? We can initially take all the elements of size k and then we can keep inserting elements to the back and keep popping out elements from the front. Okay. To do this, what kind of data structure would we need? Here, what are the requirements we have? We have the very first requirement as insertion from back, and we have removal from front. Okay, so whenever, I would just give you a hint, like last yesterday only we learned about linked list. So whenever we need to do something on both the side, one side hoga, if we need to do anything on one side, then it is queue or stack. But if we need to do something on both sides, then it is doubly ended queue or dq. Doubly ended queue or dq if we need to do something on both sides. Just remember it. These are the pattern. If we want to insert and remove from the back, then it is stack. Okay, if we want to insert elements to the back and remove elements from the front, then it is queue. If we want to do these all on both the side, then it is dq. Okay, so now tell me, so this was an idea that dq needs to be used for implementing this. But what about searching the maximum element? Searching the maximum element का क्या करोगे? What will you do for searching the maximum element? क्या करना है भाई उसका? उसका क्या किया जाए? Anyone? I want to study AI for web. Do a study or computer web development. I want to study AI. If you want to study AI, then you need to learn about machine learning and everything also. Okay, so AI is a very good field, but you need to be very qualified in terms of your academic qualifications too. So if you are willing to do, if you are willing to do higher studies, then AI is for you. Else, move for web development. How pasting computer, which data structure we use? It uses the stack. Clipboard is stack. This back button is also stack. Do we need queue here? Let's say we find the maximum first subarray, then we first element, so just compare it. No, 7. Someone at the end 7. Save this. Thanks a lot, Ashish Kumar. Okay, so first, am I clear? How can I find all the subarrays? Give me a quick one. That subarray निकालना clear हुआ कि नहीं? Like we can just insert it from the back and remove elements on the front from the DQ. Now the question is how to find out the maximum element. We are trying to optimize the brute force approach. Give me a quick one if the idea is clear. Done? Everyone is done? So now see. What we can do is we can find out the maximum element at each from the first. Okay. Okay. So we can find out the maximum element from the first subarray. So I found out that the maximum element is equals to 3. Then I came across 1. 1 is maximum. No, it is not maximum. So first we found out the maximum element, we would reply to it 1. Then we found out 1. So 1 is less than maximum. So maximum won't be edited now. Okay. So now we have 4. Okay. So now again 3. Now we have 4. 4 is greater than maximum. So we can edit it. Okay. Now we have 5. Okay, so we can also edit it. So every time we are having the maximum element at each step. Kaise hoga? Let me just explain you that also. What we can do is we can do something like this. Let me just explain you to the fullest, then you would understand. And then I would tell you a great thing today. Okay, first मैं क्या करूँगा, first I would find the subarray of size k. Size is 3, so I would find 1, 2, 3 in an array. Okay, first I would find the maximum by traversing in this array, and I would say the value of maximum is 3. So I would print 3 here. Okay, I would print 3 here. This is output. Then I have this 1 coming up. Okay, so I would keep this 1 here and I would remove the first element. As the newly inserted element is not able to influence the max element, still the new element which got here was 1, and now the max element was 3, so I don't need to fear the new element. So now still I would print 3 again. Okay, so this is just like the scenario, like let's say there are group of people. Okay, there are group of people, and let's say this person is a very rowdy person, and he wants to remain the rowdy person in this group. Let's say a small child got introduced into this group. So this rowdy person would still be the rowdy person. His rowdiness won't be affected by the small child. So in the same manner, we had 3. And now the newly introduced element is 1. So still powerful. 3 is still powerful than 1. So now the max element won't be affected. Now we need to introduce one more element, that is 4. So we would keep here 4. Remove element from the front. Now the newly introduced element is 4. So it is greater than max. So now अब jungle का अब rowdy 4 हो गया. Okay, and the output would be 4. Then we come across 5. अब 5 यहाँ आ गया. Then we remove 3. Now 5 is better than 4. So this would also get updated to 5. Now we again have 2. So we would introduce 2. 2 एक छोटा बच्चा that won't be able to affect 5. Okay, so we would write here 5 because the maximum is still 5. Then और एक छोटा बच्चा आया 3. 5 is still virtuous. So I would say yes, 5 is still powerful. Okay, then the last person is 6. 6 आया यहाँ पे. Okay, and now 6 is powerful than 5, so now the output is 6. So this is how we can generate this kind of output. Okay, by doing this kind of thing. Okay, do I make sense? This algorithm, but there is a problem with this algorithm. I would draw out the anti-test case for this. So first tell me if this idea is clear to you or not. How we would find the I can't check links. You can't really send links in this chat. Only I can send links. Yup, Raghuram. Thanks a lot. So we don't need to create a new array? Create it or don't create it. That won't make a difference. I'm just trying to clear out the algorithm. If to make it simple, let's say that you have created it. Now, this works. This gives a correct answer for the sample test case. But let me tell you, whenever you think of some algorithm, never just test it to the sample test case and say that this is working, so this would give me an AC, because the sample test case are designed in such a way that you won't be able to crack the correct algorithm out of it. प्रॉब्लम सेटर कभी नहीं चाहता है कि सैंपल टेस्ट केस से आप सॉल्यूशन तक पहुंच जाओ. Why? Because sample test case are meant for you to understand the question, not the solution. ओके, तो सैंपल टेस्ट केस हमेशा इजी ही रहेगा और उसमें इजी एल्गोरिथम्स भी काम कर जाएंगे. ओके, so you found out this is working, but this won't work. In what condition? Let us see that also. Let's say we have a small value as 5, 3, and let's say this value is mm, 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 mm. let's say this value is again 2. Okay, so now see this thing first, and here also the size of k is 3. So first we would find 4, 5, 3. So the maximum element is 3. So we would print, so maximum element is 4, sorry. So the maximum element is 4. Let's make it 1. Yeah. So the first subarray is 4, 1, 3, and the maximum element is 4. So the output would be 4. But then we introduce a new element, that is 2. 2 is less than 4, so it won't affect 4. But now 4 is gone. So we can't keep here max because 4 is now not present. So अब हमें फिर से max ढूंढना पड़ेगा. So we need to find max again and again. Max again and again if the array is something like this. So if the array is something like this, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and the size of k is equals to 3. Okay, so the first sub array is 5, 4, 3. Out of that, the maximum element is 5. Then we introduce a new element 2, and then we need to remove 5. So this max would also get removed. Now first we need to find max. Found out max as 4, so now the max would be 4. Now again a new element would pop in, and this element would go out. Again 4 can't be there as the maximum element. Okay, so now again we need to find the maximum, and then we need to report the maximum. So this algorithm won't work if the array elements are in descending order. Okay, this idea won't work if the test cases are given like this. So we need to think of something better. Okay, this algorithm won't work for this kind of test case. So what can be the answer? What can be the probable solution of this? The probable solution is that we, like this is, we maintain, we keep we keep the useful elements. We keep the useful elements. How do we really keep the useful elements? कैसे होगा? So we can keep the elements in a sorted format. Okay. Here also the value of k is equals to 3. Everywhere the value of k would be 3 for simplicity, so that I don't need to say you again and again. So now, अब क्या होगा? We would maintain a sorted ordering in this array. जो array था वैसा ही रहेगा, but a sorted ordering will be maintained. Okay. So first we would keep 5, 4, and 1. Okay. And array का पहला element ही हमेशा maximum element रहेगा. So if I want maximum, I would say पहला element maximum, because ये sorted form में है और पहला element सबसे maximum. So maximum यहीं से पता लग गया. Then I want to insert 2, but I'm seeing that the last element is less than 2. So I would remove this element because I want a sorted form. After removal, I see 4. 4 is greater than 2. So yes, the sorted ordering would be maintained. So I would keep 2. Now, we would check if the front element is now outside or not. Yes, front element should be ignored after the current step. So first element is removed. So I am keeping the elements in the sorted form. Okay. Now let's see this again. Okay. See this. Now I'm just making the array elements greater. So now for 1. Okay. So first element is the maximum element. So we would report it. Then after 2 we have 3. Now 3 is greater than the last element. So last element को remove कर दो. Now 3 is less than the last element. So last element पे रख दो. The idea is to just maintain a sorted ordering in the array. How? We would keep the ordering and then हम लोग नया एलिमेंट तभी इंटर करेंगे जब लास्ट एलिमेंट नया एलिमेंट से बड़ा हो. अगर बड़ा नहीं है so we would keep removing the last element. अब देखो we have 1. Now 1 is also very good. We can keep here 1. Now we have 5. Okay. So 5 आ गया. Last element 1 5 से छोटा है. We would remove it. Last element 3 5 से छोटा है. We would remove it. Last element 4 5 से छोटा है. Every element is gone. Then we would keep 5. We have only one element. Still it is a sorted form because a single element is already a sorted element. So every time we can get the maximum element by the front element. Maximum would be equal to front and we would insert element. So if the current element is greater than the last element, then we would pop the last, and we would keep doing this. This would be a while loop, not a if loop. We would keep doing this until, so after this point current would be less than last. So then we would insert the last. Simple है. First एक सब array of size k को process कर लो. Then we can keep doing this and we can maintain the sorted order. This is the small bit of snippet pseudo code that we would use. Just understand this. Don't remember this. Just understand this. So am I clear? Give me a quick one. Descending order first. Sort in descending order. So we don't need to create a new array. Am I clear? We would sort the array in descending order because we can quickly get hold of the first element. Am I clear, everyone? If I'm not clear, give me a 0 in the chat. Okay. Just because we are finding, we add the element. Each time we find the element. Yes, we drop the idea of brute force because finding the maximum element in an array of size k, we don't have any alternative to that. Okay. चलो अब इंसर्शन ही ऐसे करेंगे कि फायदा हो जाएगा. Parenthesis maximum for subarrays. Okay. So instead of ARR, I would do A because I'm a very lazy person. Okay. So vector int answer pe we would store the answer. Okay. Then we would initialize a DQ because we need insertion from the back and removal from the front. Okay. And access to the front also. As front and back both are involved, so we would use a DQ. The syntax of DQ is same. Okay, DQ. Okay, if you want in a different language, okay, if you want in a different language, consider pasting this on ChatGPT and you would get it. Okay. Now we would start with the very first element. Okay, and we would process k elements first. So for I is equals to 0, I is less than k, and I plus plus. Because first we need to have all the k elements in the sorted form in the DQ. So now we would say, while the DQ is not empty, first we would check if there are elements in the DQ or not. While the DQ is not empty, first we should have some elements. Then then we would keep popping elements until the last element of DQ. We would keep popping elements if the last element of DQ is less than the current element. So last element of DQ कैसे आएगा? A of, like we would only store the index in the DQ. Okay. Last element of DQ कैसे आएगा? A of DQ dot back. Last element of the DQ ऐसे आ गया. If the last element of the DQ, okay, if the last element of the DQ is less than equal to the current element, okay, the last element of DQ is less than equal to the current element, we would keep removing elements DQ dot pop back because we want a sorted format. Okay, let's say we have 5 and 3 and now we have 4 now, so we would remove that 3 and we would then keep it. Okay, so now after this is done, we know that the last element is greater than the current element, so we would push back just the current element, that is I. Okay, after this is done, we would start the processing for I is, and we would keep processing it until the end, and we would do the same thing. Pop karo. Okay, but before that we need to insert it to the answer because we know the first element would be the maximum element, so answer dot push back A of DQ dot front. The first element would be the maximum element. Okay, so pop back bhi kar diya. Okay, and then we would insert DQ dot push back, just यही का copy कर दो, same चीज copy, and then after that when everything is done we would again push back the last element. So sorry, last में जो खड़ा है we would insert. Okay, and then we will return it as in the form of answer. So let us see this. बड़ा सा एरर कहाँ से आ गया? Let's just see. मजा आएगा. For int I is less than k and I plus plus, while dq is not equal to empty and dq dot back is less than equal to a of I, dq dot pop back. After all this is done, then we would push back. Okay, good enough. Then we would insert, okay, answer dot push back dq dot from, while dq is not empty and dq dot from. Okay, so we are not removing elements from the front, we are maintaining a sorted array, but वो भी तो element remove करने हैं ना जो बाहर जा रहे हैं. Okay, fair enough. So we need to remove the elements which are outside. So how can we remove? We can just remove the elements of index less than I minus k. See, this is position I. So this is I my size. So this is I. So this would be the size of the subarray. So if this is I minus k यहाँ तक होगा, and this is what we need. अगर कोई index I minus k से भी कम है, so we need to split it out. Okay, from the front. So we would say and this would be pop front. Okay, we know that सामने से निकालना है. Okay, So now we would say while the DQ is not empty and DQ dot front. DQ dot front is less than equal to the value I minus. If we have any index like that, we would pop out from the front. Now let us just see again. Did we do something wrong? While the DQ is not empty and DQ dot front A of DQ dot front. Okay, so this here we are finding out the element, but we are comparing the index. यहाँ पे तो index मिलेगा ना, so we need to compare the index only. So let us just enclose this in the bracket. Okay, this is already to be enclosed as bracket. यहाँ पे we were getting the index, but due to copy pasting, I was taking out the element. Now it should work. Fingers crossed. Yep. Now the code is correct. So basically we are removing the elements from the front. मतलब जो आगे बढ़ेंगे तो elements तो remove भी होते रहेंगे ना. Elements remove भी कर रहे हैं. Then we are maintaining a sorted order by this, and then the front element would be the maximum element. So we are doing this. So now tell me if I'm clear to you or not. दे देता हूँ code. Just tell me the line number at which you are not able to understand. Okay, so index less than I minus k. So if this is index I, okay, then the kth subarray, if let's say, let me just explain this. This won't make sense. How we are removing less than I minus k. Let me just explain you that also. वो भी जरूरी है. Okay, see this. See, बहुत easy है ये वाला समझना. We don't need to draw an array also. See, if this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Suppose we are at this index and the value of the k is still 3. So we know if we have any elements less than 4, then it shouldn't be included. Less than 4 means what? If we have any elements less than I minus k, 6 minus less than equal to 6 minus k. So if we have any elements with the indexing less than equal to k, we need to remove it. See, 6 minus k. 6 minus 3 is equals to 3. Okay. If we have any elements less than equal to 3, we need to remove it. Why? Because let me just tell you this also. Let's say this is a big line kind of thing. Let's say this is a big line and this length is k and this length is I. Okay, if this length is k, so this index would be I minus k. So if we only want to consider this and we want to remove this, then we would say any index, any index, any index less than equal to I minus k, kindly remove it. Kindly remove it. This is why we are doing it. Now do I make sense? Pratik Goa, am I okay? Pratik Goa, thanks a lot. Okay, so I would be waiting for the last few seconds because the number of audience has dropped drastically. So I don't think a lot of doubts would pop into this. So at least from tomorrow, can you solve by Java instead of C++, then convert it into C++ by ChatGPT? See, I can do that, but I started off with Java and I left Java 3 years back. And in Java, we need to write a lot more. Like instead of cout, I would need to write system.out.println public static void main, these all things. And the syntax of Java is very long. So even though if I get comfortable in the next 2 days and for the next 15 to 16 days I do it, I would still don't do it because the syntax is very long. So I'm more comfortable with C++ as of now. I would code in C++, whichever language you want. I'm providing you the code. Take that code, just give it to ChatGPT, just write it, and you would be getting it. Good night, everyone. So that was it for today. Thank you and have a nice day. So again, repeating the same thing. So if you're watching this stream in the recorded version, or if you were here till this point of the video, consider liking, subscribing, and sharing this video so that the reach of this video could be increased and this free stuff could be justified and it could be promoted more so that the initiative of free things would be more. That's it for today. Thank you and have a nice day. Good night, everyone.